Yoga Basics Part 2, Yoga in the Mind. So here's a very brief introduction to yoga philosophy. Thousands of years ago, right around the first millennium, all of the traditions of yoga were written down in a book called the Yoga Sutras. And sutra means thread, and the language of yoga is Sanskrit. And there were basically 8 parts or limbs to the yoga practice. We mostly in the West practice 2 of the 8, which are the poses. The Sanskrit word for that is asana, and the breathing or the pranayama, breath control. But the first 2 are the yamas and the niyamas. And they're sort of like the 10 commandments of yoga. And they are ahimsa, which means no harm. And that's always the first rule of yoga, is to do no harm. There's satya, which is truth-telling. Asteya, which is non-stealing. Brahmacharya, which means restraint. And then aparigraha, which is non-grasping or not coveting. And then the niyamas, so the yamas are things that you shouldn't do, and then the niyamas are the things that you should do, and they are more along the meditative side. The first one of those, the niyamas, is saucha, which means cleanliness. And so there is this philosophy that you always come to your mat, fresh and clean. And then there's santosha, which is contentment. There's tapas, which is like a discipline of focusing. And then svadhyaya, which is the study of sacred text. And finally, ishvara pranadhana. And that is basically your life as a complete offering to God. So anyway, all that to say, with yoga in the mind, you can also add on a layer focusing on a particular thing. So for instance, you might want to focus on building more discipline, or something as simple as cultivating patience or compassion. And so that's one of the cool things about yoga, is you can add on that layer. So, like we always do, we're going to start with the breath. I invite you to start seated. I'm again sitting up on a yoga block. I've got a tie, an old necktie used for a strap. You could, instead of a block, if you don't have a block, you could tape some books together. And a blanket, just in case you want to pad your knees or your head. So settle in, sitting up tall. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. And just start to follow your breath. So again, maybe starting with that 3-part belly breathing, resting your hand on your belly, feeling your belly fill on the inhale. Softly pull towards the spine on the exhale. Maybe stick your other hand on your rib cage as you inhale, feeling the belly and the rib cage expand. Softening in reverse on the exhale, rib cage then belly. Maybe take that first hand and stick it up by your collarbones or sternum, inhaling belly, rib cage fills, all the way up to the collarbones, and then exhaling gently, drawing down in reverse, collarbones, rib cage, belly pulling in. So do that for a couple more breaths. So as your mind starts to settle and slow down, set an intention for this practice. Again, something super simple: patience, compassion, strength, non-comparison, non-grasping. Whatever you decide. And then you can use your breath and that focus to bring yourself right back to the moment, right back to your practice as we move along. I want to introduce one more breathing practice called Ujjayi breathing, or victorious breath, or ocean breath. And it's like you're fogging a mirror with your mouth closed. So if you inhale through your nose, stick your hand in front of your mouth, and exhale with your mouth open, it's like fogging a mirror, sort of constricting the back of your throat or whispering. If you did it with your mouth closed, sounds kind of like an ocean wave. So it can be very forceful or just the tiniest bit of sound. Try that for a few breaths. Inhaling through your nose. Exhaling ocean breath. So you can do that through your whole practice as a way of staying focused. It also has a great physical benefit, connecting the nerve that runs, the wandering nerve, the wanderer, the soul nerve that connects your mind, your brain, to your gut, your soul. So I've come off my block. We're going to do a little bit of seated spinal warm-up today. Again, always beginning with the spine. I'll just turn sideways a little bit so that you can see me. So merging the breath with movement. Inhale, tilt your pelvis forward, lift your chest. Raise up gently. Try and keep the length in the spine as you exhale, curling from the base of the pelvis, pulling your mid-back back, letting your head drop. If it's safe for you, like a capital C shape. Maybe feel good to move that head around a little bit. So do that again. Inhaling, tilt your pelvis forward. Lift your chest. Raise your gaze. Drop your shoulder blades. And then exhale, hollow out in reverse. Do that a couple more times. Inhaling, arch. Exhaling, hollow out. And inhaling, arch. And exhaling, hollow out. And then inhaling, come on back to neutral. I'm just going to gently twist, moving with the breath first. So inhaling, maybe twist to your left. Exhale through center. Inhale, get tall. Twist to your right. Exhaling, center. Do that one more time. Inhaling, twist. Exhaling, gently transition. Inhaling, twist. And exhaling, come on back to neutral. So this time we'll go a little bit deeper. Inhale, get tall, and exhale, twist. We're going to hold it for 3 breaths, maybe using that ujjayi or ocean breath. One more. And release. Inhale, get really tall again. And exhale to the other side. Just feeling all those muscles around the ribs and the hips start to activate. Shoulders soft. And exhaling, gently release. So moving our spine in the last 2 directions, side to side. Feel like your upper body is squished between 2 pieces of glass. Maybe walk your hand out slightly. Inhale, take the opposite arm overhead. Just gaze at your hand and exhale. Bending straight to the side. Inhaling, come on back up. So remember, ahimsa, no harm, you're your own best teacher. We'll go to the other side. Using your exhale to soften. And inhaling, come on back up. Transition onto all 4s. So again, grabbing a blanket or a towel to pad your knees if it's helpful. On an inhale, take that right leg out, keep the toes curled under and push into the heel so you get a nice little calf stretch. Fingers are spread wide, pushing into the thumb side of the hand. On your next inhale, take that heel up in the air. And exhale, pull your knee toward your nose. Just keep moving with the breath. Inhale, heel out. Exhale, knee to the nose. One more time. Exhale, knee to the nose. And gently release that knee down. We'll go right to the other side. So start with a calf stretch. Curl those toes under, push into the heel. Nice juicy stretch in the calf of the foot. You probably stretched your calf a bunch, but think of this as the first time, like beginner's mind. And inhale, take that heel up. So we use that in our practice all the time. Beginner's mind, exhaling, knee to the nose as if this is the first time. Every time is the first time. Inhaling, heel up. And exhaling, knee to nose. So one more time, inhale, heel out. And exhaling, knee to nose. And go ahead and put that knee down. Take your knees a little bit wider than hip width apart. Put your big toes together and rock your hips back towards your heels. So take a few moments to settle in. If you have limited mobility in your knees, you could stick a block, pillow, blanket, something between your hips and your heels. Or you could use it to pad your head. You don't quite have the range of motion to get your head to the ground. But if you can, right, and completely settle in. And this is a pose you can always come back to during your practice. Coming back to that ocean breath and your intention, take one more inhale and exhale. Then inhale and pull your belly in. Come on, back up to all fours. So if your hands are right under your shoulders, walk your hands about one hand length forward. All right, still spread wide, and then bring your shoulders over your wrists. So this is a good length for a modified plank pose, right? If you curled your toes under and lifted your knees, you'd be in the top of a push-up plank. So yoga push-up, we're going to squeeze our elbows in. Try not to dip the head, let your chest and chin come to the mat, and then the hips come down last. So chaturanga push-up. We're going to gently warm the spine and engage the back muscles. So on an inhale, drop your elbows toward the mat, push your feet into the mat, engaging the legs. Just raise your shoulders a little bit. It's early in the practice, so exhale, take your time. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, squeeze the elbows in. Lift your shoulders, gaze forward, and exhale, forehead to the mat. 1 more time. Elbows drop, spine lengthens. Exhaling, forehead to the mat. Now to reverse our push-up, take your hands right there towards your waist a little bit more. Squeeze the elbows in. See if you can get your hips up first, extending your arms. And we'll exhale back to child's pose. And take a breath. So this is like a little mini flow. Again, just moving our spine in all directions. Reach your arms way far forward. Inhaling, bring your shoulders over your wrists. Spine completely extended. Hips in front of the knees. And then exhale, chaturanga, hips down last. Push the tops of the feet into the mat. Inhaling, 2 cobras this time. Exhale, there's 1. Inhale. Use your legs. And exhale, forehead to the mat. 2. Reverse your push-up, squeeze your elbows in, coming onto your knees. And exhale, child's pose. Take a breath. On your next inhale, you're going to walk your hands over to the right, staying in child's pose. Stack your left hand on top of your right, allowing your head to gently drop and pull your left hip back. Get a big old side stretch. Then inhaling, come through center. Walk your hands over to the left, stack the right hand on top of the left. And drop your hips. Good, inhaling, come on back to center. Come back up to all fours. Do that same thing. One hand forward, about one hand length, take the other one to meet it. Spread the fingers wide, push into the finger pads, curl your toes under, lift your hips up and back. It's a good length for a downward facing dog. So if your hamstrings are tight, no worries, just keep your knees bent. But what you want to get is this long line from the hips out through the wrists. He's taken the crease out of your shoulders. So we're going to inhale, top of the push-up plank. All right, your modified plank is just your knees floating down. Pull your low belly in, kind of tuck your tailbone toward your heels, come back through plank, and exhale, down dog. So it's a journey, right? The way to make it easier on your body is to always come to your knees in plank and chaturanga. So exhaling, soften your knees, pull your low belly, and we're going to walk our feet in to meet our hands. So again, if your hamstrings are tight, you might need to back your hands up to meet your feet, or you can grab hold of a block. It makes our arms longer, right? You want to get yourself to a forward fold at the front of your mat. Your knees are still soft, it's early, right? We're starting to stretch our low back. So Uttanasana, forward fold. Just let your head hang, nod your head yes, shake your head no, but always come back to the yes, right? So these forward folds, they're great unless you have eye issues like glaucoma or severely uncontrolled blood pressure, in which case you should not let your head drop below your heart. So take one more breath here. Exhale everything out. And soften your knees. Rest your hands on your thighs. Reach the crown of the head out long. Coming to standing Tadasana, mountain pose, so root those feet. Inhale, take your arms up. Maybe even gaze at your fingertips. And exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. And then we'll do tree pose. So shifting your weight into your right leg. Decide where you want to put your foot. So better to go to a wall or back up to the wall and get totally on one leg, foot on the calf. You get all the benefits no matter where the foot is. Maybe you want to bring the foot up into the inner thigh. Just don't put any weight on the knee. And you could grow your tree. So use your gaze, set it on one thing, not me, just one thing in front of you that's not moving, maybe 8 or 10 feet out on the ground or on the wall opposite you. Nice, and then exhaling, Tadasana. And we'll shift right to the other side. Maybe come back to that intention that you set, whatever it was. So there's proven benefits to lengthy, focused attention. We really can change our brains. So think of this as moving meditation. Grow your tree if you can. If you fell out of your pose, just come right back. They say to fall out is human. It's getting back in that makes you a yogi. And exhaling right back to Tadasana. So we've done all of the poses that you need to do a sun salutation, which is basically just linking the poses together with the breath. So that's what we're going to do. Come back to the front of your mat, maybe 18 inches or so in front of you. Exhaling, release your hands. On your inhale, take your arms up. Soften your knees and exhale. Puff out your chest, coming down with a flat back until you can let your head drop. Then inhale, come halfway up so you look like an upside down L. Fingertips draw under the knees. Crown of the head reaches out long. Somebody could have breakfast on your back. We'll stay here for one more breath, kind of see how this feels. Again, knees can stay soft. It's more important to get the spine long. And we exhale, folding back like a rag doll, taking one leg back safely, knee over the ankle. Come to the top of your push-up plank. Maybe that's with the knees floating down. And exhaling, chaturanga push-up, squeezing the elbows in, hips down last. Push the tops of the feet into the mat. Inhaling, one gentle back bend. Exhaling, forehead to the mat. Reverse your push-up either on the knees or your toes. Curl your toes under if you hadn't, and then come right back to down dog. And take a breath. Then inhale, look at your thumbs. Exhale, soften your knees. Walk your feet in to meet your hands. Keep your knees soft. Use a block if it's helpful. Then on our inhale, we come right to half forward fold again, crown of the head out long. Exhale, hang like a rag doll. Then soften the knees and reverse your swan dive. Inhaling, fingertips up in the air. And exhale your hands to your heart. Beautiful. We're going to do that one more time. So inhaling, arms up. Just focusing on your breath. Exhale and dive. Stay right in the moment. Inhale, halfway up. Crown of the head reaches out long. Fingers under the knees. Exhale, bend the knees. Take one leg back, maybe the other one this time. Front knee stays right over the ankle. Coming to your version on the top of a push-up. There's your inhale. Exhaling, chaturanga. Let your hips drop. Engage your legs. Inhaling, cobra. Exhaling, forehead to the mat. Reverse your dive, squeezing the elbows in. Coming onto your knees or your toes. And then right to downward facing dog. And take a breath. Knees can stay soft. Inhaling, look at your thumbs. Baby step your feet in to meet your hands. There's your exhale. Inhale, come halfway up. Flat back, fingers under the knees. Exhaling, fold. And then reverse your dive, coming to standing. Exhaling your hands to your heart. Nice. So we're going to work on another one-legged balance. It's called dancer pose, and this is where you might want to have a strap. So first it's going to be stretching the quadricep. You want to grab hold of your ankle if you can, so you lift your knee and run your hand down your shin. So if you can't do that, you can put the tie around your ankle. So there's always the opportunity to hold the wall here, right? So it starts like this. Knees together. I'm going to let go of the strap. Just feeling that stretch. So the goal is to get rid of the crease in the hip and make it more like a back bend. So you might take your knee slightly behind you and start to push your foot into your hand. If you're able, take the other arm up in the air. So pulling this opposite shoulder back. Try to keep everything on the railroad tracks. And remember, there shouldn't be any pain. So you use a focal point, one thing that's not moving, to help you balance. Maybe you want to start to push the foot into the hand some more, so the knee goes up behind you. That might be a good place to stay today. So the full expression of the pose would be to keep that back bend shape and start to fold forward. We use all the lines of energy out through our fingertips and down into the ground to help us balance. And then come out of it safely. And come back to Tadasana. Right? Beginner's mind. It's just a journey. We'll try the other side. Just notice how your body feels. Just increasing our awareness. When you get that ankle and the strap are in your hand, bring the knees back together. Maybe the opposite arm comes up, and you start to take the knee behind you. And then maybe start to fold forward. One side might be completely different than the other. And come on back. And exhaling right back to Tadasana. Beautiful. Let's do a sun salutation now with a low lunge. So you're going to inhale, take your fingertips up, soften the knees, being mindful of the transition, slowly diving forward, right? So we just did a pretty deep back bend. Now we've got a forward fold. You're going to inhale halfway up. Exhaling, bend the knees. Take the right leg way back in high lunge, front knee over the ankle. Float the back knee down. You let that foot go flat. Inhaling, taking the arms up to the sky. Nice deep stretch here. Feel pretty good after dancer pose. Then exhale, hands to the mat. Inhaling, top of the push-up. Right, on your knees or your toes, and exhaling, chaturanga. Push the tops of the feet into the mat. Inhale, gently arch. Exhaling, forehead to the mat. Reverse your push-up, curl your toes under. Exhale, down dog. So that leg you took back, you're going to lift in the air. Exhaling, pull the knee in. So either plant your foot, come to your knees, if that's helpful, or just pull the knee forward, getting the knee right over the ankle again, and the back knee drops. Inhaling, arms to the sky. Exhaling, hands to the mat. So your next inhale is going to bring you all the way to that half forward fold. So fingers under the knees, crown of the head out long. Exhaling, fold like a rag doll. Reverse the dive, taking the fingertips up. And exhale your hands to your heart. One more time, we'll do everything on the opposite side. So inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, dive. Inhale, halfway up. Now the left leg's going to go back in high lunge. Front knee over the ankle. Float the knee down. Let the top of the foot go flat. And inhale, take your fingertips up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Inhaling. Make sure your hands are still spread wide, fingers spread wide. Exhaling, chaturanga. Engage those legs. Inhaling, cobra. Exhaling, forehead to the mat. Reverse your push-up either on the knees or the toes. And come to downward facing dog and take a breath. So that leg you brought back goes up in the air. Pull the knee toward the chest. Do what you need to do to get yourself back to low lunge. You can always use your hand to help pull your leg forward like I did. Inhaling, take your fingertips up. Exhaling, hands to the mat. Our next inhale comes all the way to half forward fold. Front of the head, out long. Exhaling, hang. Reverse your dive. Fingertips up in the air. And exhale your hands to your heart. And take a breath. Maybe even close your eyes and just notice how your body feels. So staying fully present. One more time, we're going to inhale, take our arms up in the air. Soften the knees, exhaling, diving forward. Inhale, halfway up, flat back. Exhaling, we're just coming to the top of our push-up, so take one leg back, front knee over the ankle. Right. Float the knees down. And squeeze the elbows in so we come down to the mat. So make a pillow fit for your head with your hands. Take a couple of breaths. We'll strengthen the back body a little bit more. So on an inhale, squeeze your legs together and lift your heels. They might only come up an inch or two, right? Your head can stay in your hands. So I want to try and keep the legs really, really long. legs stay straight. Take one more breath. And exhale, gently release. On an inhale, you're going to lift your chest, push your feet into the mat this time, and just reach your fingertips towards your ankles. So think about making the spine longer. Tuck your pelvis into the mat. Just raise your ribs. Return your head onto your hands and just rock your hips from side to side. Let everything relax. So we're going to add the shoulders and the heels together. So as you inhale, squeeze your legs together. You're going to lift your shoulders, lift your heels, reach your fingertips. So again, shouldn't be any pain, right? Just working on making the spine longer. Lots of energy out through the toes. Keep the back of the neck long. One more breath. Exhaling, gently release. Put your head back in your hands, bend your knees. This time just windshield wiper your feet from side to side. And relax the legs down. Put your hands under your shoulders, squeeze your elbows into your sides again. Coming up through that modified push-up onto all fours. Maybe rock your hips from side to side a bit. So we're going to shift our hips to one side again. Coming on to getting ready to come onto our backs, but I never want to miss an opportunity to do a little core work. So with your feet firmly planted, lift your chest. Maybe you reach your arms forward. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you want to rock onto your hips for a modified boat pose. Lifting your shins, again, knees, ankles, everything on the railroad tracks. Take a couple breaths. Beautiful. Exhaling, gently release. And roll down onto the mat safely. You could maybe pad your head. Bend your knees, plant your feet firmly. Get your heels close to your hips if you can, so maybe you can touch your heels with your fingertips. Bend your elbows to 90 degrees so your fingers are pointing right at the ceiling. Then check in with the corners of your feet. You want to push your big toe mound and your pinky toe mound and your heel all into the mat and keep them engaged. And on an inhale, lift your hips up. Keep the neck soft, the jaw soft. Keep the feet engaged. Use your inner thighs. And just take a couple more breaths, maybe even those ocean breaths. One more deep inhale, lift a little higher. And exhaling, drop your hips to the mat. Good, so take your arms out to the side. Take your feet as wide as the edges of the mat and just windshield wiper your knees from side to side. And come on back to neutral. Cross one ankle over your thigh. So you've made a triangle shape. See if you can draw that bottom leg in toward your chest and realize your fingers behind that thigh. So get a nice outer hip stretch. It's like a modified pigeon pose. So just slowly and gently keep drawing that lower leg toward your chest. Keep the top foot flexed, toes back towards your knees. That's going to help protect your knee. Just hang out here. Focus on your breath. Focus on that intention you set. Use those exhales to soften and lengthen somewhere. Exhaling, gently release. And plant both feet. And then we'll go to the other side. So cross the other ankle over the thigh. Keep those toes flexed back toward the knee. And then draw the other leg up. You can interlace your hands behind you. So it might feel different one side to the other. Just notice. And then let it go and breathe. One more deep exhale. And gently release. And plant your feet. Take a couple of breaths here. We invite you to gently roll to one side. Push yourself up to seated. So one last forward fold, forward folds are great for engaging the parasympathetic side of this nervous system, quieting, calming the body, engaging that rest and digest. So I've got one foot resting on the inner thigh. Again, if your hamstrings are tight, you could sit up on a blanket or a block. Just be mindful of the straightened knee if you've got space under it. And just start to walk your hands over that extended leg, toes drawn back toward the knee. This is another place you could use your strap if it's helpful. Right. Just try and keep the spine long. See where you can relax in the hips and the hamstring. If you squeeze your top of your thigh, engage that inner thigh, it will help release the hamstring. Inhale and gently release. Stretch that leg out, maybe give your legs a shake. We'll go to the other side. So sticking with, focus on your practice. Sit long, fold gently. One more deep exhale to soften, let go. Inhale, gently, slowly release. Again, being careful in the transitions. So getting ready for the most important pose of all. Maybe you want to pad your head. Shavasana, or corpse pose. You could do this with your knees bent, but if it's okay with your low back, go ahead and stretch out. Move any props out of the way so that your body's completely free. Take your arms slightly away from your body, palms facing up if you can. The heels are really heavy, just let the toes flop open. So we follow our breath till you don't need it anymore. Just remember, it's a practice. Stay in it, try not to fidget. I'll let you know when it's time to move again.
One more deep inhale and exhale. Maybe even using that ocean breath or Ujjayi breathing. And then wiggling the fingers and the toes, we begin to get moving, starting at the extremities, working your way toward the spine. So again, do just what feels right for your body. Eventually, it's okay with you rolling onto your right side. You're going to stay curled up in this embryo pose, getting ready to begin again. Just remember, the answers that you seek never come when the mind is busy. They come when the mind is still. So you can keep your eyes closed while you extend that top leg. Use your top arm and push yourself up gently. Coming again to an easy seated pose. Try resting your hands on your thighs, palms facing up. Draw in all that great energy you've created in your body. On an inhale, reach your arms up in the air. On an exhale, bring your hands together at your heart center. And bow your head to your own heart. Give yourself that mental pat in the back for showing up so that you can be your best for others. The spirit in me, I'm just a spirit in you. Namaste. So next up is part 3, Yoga in the Spirit. See you there. Thanks for joining me.